I'm going to introduce, okay. Okay, the California Chronic Care Coalition has been in and out of San Diego for many years now. And we just started our first affiliate there earlier this year. And we had a big meeting just a few weeks ago. And in that meeting was Susan Mahler. And Susan was so profound on her story that we said to Hattie, so it's my fault that your agenda looks the way it does. We have to have Susan come to Berkeley and tell her story. Have to. Cannot. This is what we are all about. We are here because of people like Susan. So it's my privilege and my honor to introduce Susan Mahler to you.
Thank you so much. I am so honored to be here with you today at this event and to be able to share my story. I look around this room, and unfortunately, so many of you sitting here today have your own touching, incredible stories, both personally and professionally, about heart disease and how it's touched your life. So thank you so much for letting me share my story. My story comes literally from my heart, literally and figuratively from my heart. When I think of my story, interestingly enough, the book by Charles Dickens, The Tale of Two Cities, pops into my mind. And his wonderful, wonderful phrase that he starts off with, it was the best of times, and it was the worst of times. My life over the last 15 years, it has absolutely been the very, very best of times and the very worst of times for my family and for me. And today I'd like to talk about the tale of two lives, my life and the life of my husband, Barney Mahler. Never in my wildest imagination did I ever think that I would have heart disease or suffer from stroke. None in my family. After retiring from 35 of the most phenomenal years in education, first as a teacher and then as a principal, I never dreamed that heart disease and stroke would dominate my life for the next 15 years. On January 11th, my husband's birthday, 2003, I walked out to the patio where he was sitting in January. You know this is in San Diego if we're sitting on the patio in January. And I told him, I said, I think we better go to urgent care. It was a Saturday. I'm having a lot of trouble breathing. Now, I had been diagnosed with congestive heart failure 2 years prior to this, so I knew the symptoms. And that particular morning, I stood at the base of our stairs in our home, and I knew I could not walk up those stairs. Well, that little trip to the urgent care turned into being hospitalized for more than a month, most of which I have absolutely no memory of. Apparently, the first memory that I remember going into urgent care and then vaguely being taken to the emergency department at Kaiser in San Diego. I have no memory of the next 3 weeks. The next time I woke up, it was in a hospital room in Los Angeles. And I knew I was in Los Angeles because I looked out the hospital window and there was the great big beautiful Hollywood sign. Wonderful sign, happy to see the sign, but no idea why I was in a hospital room in Los Angeles. Well, apparently, 2 weeks prior to this, I had had open heart surgery in San Diego, repairing one valve and replacing another. After the surgery, Dr. Brewster came out to my family and sat them down and said, the surgery could not have gone better. However, when we were in there, we saw that the entire left side of her heart is gray and flabby. Those were his words. What followed were words that no family ever wants to hear, and that is, there is nothing more we can do for her here, but we will make her as comfortable as possible. What followed, apparently, was an ambulance ride to Los Angeles. And I was on 2 very powerful drips that were helping to keep my heart beating. And when we got to Los Angeles, to Kaiser in Los Angeles, Dr. Zoller took my family aside and told them that I could be on these drips for 1 week, and then either my heart needed to kick back in or I needed a heart transplant in order to survive. He then took our beautiful daughter aside, Trish, and he said, I hope your mother's a fighter, because she certainly is in the fight for her life. To which our daughter answered, my mother is the strongest person I know. She'll win this fight. 1 week later, I did win that particular fight. I walked out of that hospital without a heart transplant. Dr. Zoller came into my room that morning, and all he could do was shake his head and say, there's more at work here than just medical. Quite a statement to hear. I continued to test as an outpatient for a heart transplant, and I was listed in May of 2003 with UCLA. Thank heavens for the partnerships that Kaiser has with both UCLA and Cedars-Sinai. Now, when I was listed for a transplant, I was given the most delightful little gift in the form of a cell phone. And the only ones to have that cell phone number was UCLA. I lived with that cell phone. I slept with it, I ate with it, I carried it. It was with me 24/7. One day, I'm sitting in our home reading a book, quiet, calm, and the gall-darn phone rings. Holy crap. I just think, oh my God, this is it. This is my heart. Oh my Lord. So I pick up the phone and I answer, hello? And on the other end, this deep, melodic voice says, are you naked? All I could say was, pardon me? And then a little less certain, are you naked? Wrong number? I thought it's either a wrong number or UCLA really wanted me ready. Now, during that time, I guess the combination of the valve job, a defibrillator that had been implanted, many medications, 2 incredible cardiologists, Dr. William Keene in San Diego and Dr. Adam Howard in Los Angeles. I lived. Oh my Lord, I was back to the way I was before this whole adventure started. In Kaiser Talk, I was thriving. Oh my gosh, we were back to traveling, entertaining. So 6 months after my name went on that heart transplant list, we took my name off that list, going with the known rather than the unknown. For the next 6 years, I did great. So many ups, a few little dips, but so many ups. And then, fall of 2009, 2 days after Thanksgiving, I laid down on the sofa in our house, in my family room, so sick to my stomach. I could not eat for the next several months, so nauseated. According to my cardiologist, the congestive heart failure had moved from the left side into the right side and was starting to shut down a lot of my other organs. I was in and out of hospitals for the next several months in Los Angeles and in San Diego. I was down to 93 pounds. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't drive a car. Didn't drive for months. I couldn't walk into a store, couldn't walk around a store. Spiraling down. And an interesting thing happened that people need to understand at this time. My entire personality went through such a drastic change. I became a recluse. I did not want to leave the safety and the sanctity of my home. I was absolutely spiraling down. I received the exciting news. I started testing once again for a heart transplant. And I received the exciting news that I was back on that transplant list, this time with Cedars-Sinai. On June 19th, I'm standing in our kitchen. I'm chopping garlic. That I could do. My husband was sitting nearby in a chair in the family room, and the phone rings. And I pick up the phone, and this time, the most angelic voice on the other end says, "Susan, this is Jenna from Cedars. We have a heart." Oh my God, all I could do was stand in my kitchen just saying, oh my God, it's a heart, they have a heart. Well, Barney hears this. He picks up the cell phone next to him. He calls our daughter, who had just run to Trader Joe's, and says, Trish, get home now. It's your mom's heart. Trish says, Dad, call 911. We'd been doing that all year. No, it's Los Angeles. They have a heart. She drops everything. She flies home. We throw some things in the car. We get in the car. I get behind the steering wheel. I drive myself to my own heart transplant. Now, let's get down to it. Why am I here alive today? Well, my belief, God above. My belief, the most gifted cardiologists at Kaiser Permanente and at Cedars-Sinai. My husband, our daughter, my family, friends, and with most certainty, the American Heart Association. During this 15-year period, I have undergone so many biopsies and EKGs, echograms, angiograms, ablations, an AV node, labs, tests, too many to even count, so many medications, valves, defibrillators, plural, wiring for the defibrillators, all just to name a few, leading up to the really, really biggest miracle of them all. On June 20th at midnight, 2010, 5 years ago today, a heart transplant. And now for the news flash. You've all heard it said that in real estate, it's location, location, location. Well, in medicine, it's research, research, research. That long laundry list that I just gave you of all those things I've gone through and I continue to go through today would not even exist without the insurmountable effort that the American Heart Association has put in to fund research for heart disease and stroke. Make no mistake, I am absolutely here today because of that research. Now, the second life in the tale of two lives. During that long journey that I just described, I was never alone. My precious husband, Barney Mahler, never left my side. He went through his own 12 years of agony, fighting my heart disease, helping me, loving me, waiting on me, taking me everywhere. He did things around the house that he never even knew existed until that time. He was my strength. He was my biggest cheerleader. His unwavering support and his unconditional love saw me through my very darkest days. 3 years ago, this December, we'd been celebrating the holidays. This was a Sunday, December 9th. Friday night, Saturday night, we'd gone to holiday parties, and on Sunday, we drove up to the Cedars holiday party for the transplant patients, once again celebrating my heart. And usually we spent the night in Los Angeles, but this particular night we drove home. When we got home, we talked a little bit more about the evening and we went to bed. We kissed each other goodnight. And sometime in the middle of the night, he got up and he walked downstairs to our kitchen, unbeknownst to me. And the next morning I woke up and took my time. I was tired after the weekend. Finally, I came downstairs and I walked into our kitchen, and there I found my Barney. Barney had died in the middle of that night from sudden death cardiomyopathy. The irony. Here, my lifelong partner who fought with everything he had for my heart and celebrated my new heart, only to lose his own life to this horrific form of heart disease. And apparently 300,000 to 400,000 people are affected by sudden death cardiomyopathy every year. And the most horrific, shocking part is there are no symptoms. We had no warning signs, none. So yes, we've come a long, long way. I'm living proof of that. But my Lord, we have a long, long way to go. In San Diego right now, $9 million has been put back into San Diego to research heart and disease and stroke. But right now, as we sit here, there are 33 unfunded projects in San Diego that need $5 million more. And who knows, maybe one of them, maybe 3 of them might lead to a cure for sudden death cardiomyopathy, or at least some warning signs. And so I look around this room and I just bless every single person who has their hand. And obviously, after sitting here this morning and listening to all of you, bless all of you for having your hand in this fight against heart disease and stroke. Unfortunately, this fight continues. But you know what? I just have to believe with all my heart, my new one, that with all of you fighting against this horrific disease, this is our battle to win. Thank you.